Consumer rights are human rights and have become a powerful tool in bringing a better life to struggling consumers and transforming the South African economy. Every year, consumer organizations around the globe celebrate World Consumer Rights Day as an occasion for celebration and solidarity within the international consumer movement. More importantly, it is a time for promoting the basic rights of all consumers, for demanding that those rights are respected and protected, and for protesting the market abuses and social injustices which undermine them. World Consumer Rights Day was first observed on the 15th of March 1983 and has since become an important occasion for mobilizing citizen action. The National Consumer Forum, an independent civil society group in South Africa, holds an annual conference to promote the rights of consumers and to highlight issues that need more attention. For the third year running, the conference has been made possible through support from Absa Bank, the country's largest retail bank. The NCF's partnership with Absa also extends to a financial education initiative in the NCF's newspaper, Consumer Fair. This year's conference, held at Gallagher Estates in Midrand, attracted about 300 delegates from government, business and civil society. The high-powered range of speakers included Justice and Constitutional Minister Jeff Radebe, Absa Bank's Executive Manager for Retail Banking, Keith McIver, leading local economist and economic commentator Mike Schussler, Chief Director in the Department of Trade and Industry, Nomfundo Maseti, legal expert Janus Luterek from law firm Hahn & Hahn, food safety specialist Linda Jackson from the Food Safety Network, Michael Young from the Department of Food and Associated Industries, part of the National Regulator for Compulsory Specifications, and Dr. Simpiwe Nkangweni, an economist at the National Agricultural Marketing Council. Delivering the keynote address, Minister Jeff Radebe reminded delegates that the consumption of goods and services in most countries reflects the uneven economic distribution in society, particularly in unequal societies like South Africa. Here, there is an even greater role for government to protect consumers.
As an ANC government, we'll remain firmly committed to a robust and effective consumer protection and competition regime. We are very clear that consumer rights and their protection is an integral part of a healthy South African economy and must form an essential ingredient of recovery from the current economic recession. In other words, whatever the challenges of the day are, with regards to economic development, the rights of consumers must not be undermined.
He emphasized the need for more information and education for consumers, and for making sure that consumer protection laws can be understood by all.
Enforcement is also central to a healthy consumer regime. As the growth of the online world shows, it is vital that consumers are confident in buying through the internet, making good purchases decisions, and knowing their rights and where to seek advice. But the question we should grapple with is whether our current enforcement system has caught up with the change in shopping habits and distribution methods.
The minister was also keen to see civil society organizations like the NCF working closely with government departments to expose and address any abuse of consumers.
The role of the National Consumer Forum and the entities of government are so vitally important in safeguarding the health and wealth of all citizens and the economy of our country. As a government, we are very determined to maintain but also to enhance a robust and effective consumer and competition regime.
As the regular sponsors of the NCF conference, Absa Bank took the opportunity to encourage the culture of savings. Absa Executive Manager Keith McIver reminded delegates of South Africa's poor savings record and emphasized the benefits of starting to save money early in life. The power of compounded interest, he said, allows a disciplined consumer to build up a sizable nest egg, even if they don't have very large amounts to put away each month.
Only 13% of South Africans have some sort of retirement plan. Only 10% of South Africans have informal investments, but 15% of South Africans participate in informal savings mechanisms, such as stokvels. Those numbers must increase. They have to. The study done by Finmark Trust identified the following hurdles to long-term savings. Short-sightedness was one of them. Affordability, and affordability has got multiple dimensions. State provision and the means test. People are scared of starting to save.
This year's Consumer Rights Conference came at an exciting time for South African consumers. Government had just passed the long-awaited Consumer Protection Act, which brought together a number of different laws and strengthened the position of consumers in our modern marketplace. Chief Director at the DTI, Nomfundo Maseti, gave the conference a thorough overview of the new law, which will create a National Consumer Commission to act as government's key agency to ensure that consumers are properly protected and that business complies to the new rules of the game.
A lot of cases that came before the DTI, which related to scams and some unfair practices, such as the safety issues, the inferior products that were actually provided to consumers. But then also consumers voiced or expressed the need for immediate redress, such as compensation or refunds, which sometimes they are not able to get because the matters take too long. So these are all the issues that we have looked at, and we thought that by reviewing the current legislation around consumers, we needed to focus on such issues.
At the forefront of the consumers' recent concerns has been the global financial crisis and the resulting economic recession. Leading economist Mike Schussler tackled this subject for the conference and also addressed some other topics that were troubling consumers, such as Eskom's recent price hike to triple the rate of inflation, and the way that food prices kept going up, even though inflation was coming down.
Now, if you say that you're not making money, but you're going to give this 34% increase through to the people that are paying you above your costs, what are you doing? And we'd like to know, as consumers, what are you doing to those other guys that you're selling below costs to? And then they have the goal to tell us that we've the lowest electricity prices in the world. They forgot to say our industrial customers have the lowest prices in the world. Getting there with this 34% increase, we will be in the top half. And just to put things into perspective, if they do get their 34% increase, then the increase in electricity that you pay per kilowatt between 1996 and 2009 would have quadrupled. How many prices do you see that quadruple? Let me tell you, nurses are asleep. They don't look after consumers. They look after their own jobs.
Apart from government agencies and professional services like lawyers, consumers themselves also need to get involved in issues like food safety, if they want to make sure that all their concerns are heard and addressed. One group that has done this is the Food Safety Network, and food expert Linda Jackson addressed the conference to explain how they worked and outline some of their food safety concerns.
I do think that the consumer is the missing link in the food chain, and that as consumers we need to understand our responsibilities regarding food safety. But food safety is that part of quality which is not negotiable. When I get any product, I expect that it will be safe for consumption, and so that's really where we need to focus our attention. Well, we need to know that foodborne illness, or food poisoning as you and I may refer to it commonly, is still a significant public health concern. That's not my opinion, that's the WHO's opinion. What do we mean by safe food? Well, it's food that will not cause harm to me as a consumer when it's prepared and or eaten in accordance with its intended use. Now, that's also important because that underlines our responsibilities as consumers.
The NCF's Consumer Rights Conference attracted much attention from television and radio stations, as well as newspapers, helping to boost the impact of the event well beyond those attending. We thank the sponsors, Absa Bank, as well as the speakers and delegates for their contribution to raising the profile of consumer rights and helping make South Africa a better informed and more consumer-friendly society.